Spawning in the bottom right position as our blue Protoss player. Man, he's in putting on some really great games, but that last one barely slipped by him. He is WhiteRa. And spawning in the top left position as our red Zerg player. You know, he needed something to bring him back in this game. I can't stress how much he really needed that. And those abducts were exactly what he needed. Playing for Quantic Gaming, it is HyuN. So Akalon Flats, I believe, is the title of the Heart of the Swarm version of this map. It's a bit interesting. Of course, we have the rocks by the potential third. Usually Zerg players take this as a fourth base because it's so easy to secure, and taking an outstretched fourth can be a little bit harder later on. It's just easier to hold this with creep spread as well. So the rocks make this a bit of a liability since it's hard to break these down really early on. They have 3 armor, and well, you can get blocked in by here. Drop play can really pick that apart. So as close as it looks, it's actually pretty far until you have enough DPS to destroy it. So WhiteRa placing a pylon in is natural. Pretty normal. We'll likely see him go for a Nexus first. Again, I feel that's just what he's been favoring. The pool is on the way for HyuN. Looks like it was a 14 pool, so we might actually see a Forge out of WhiteRa first. This is one of the maps where it's a little more difficult to actually wall off your natural expansion. The GSL, or it was either the GSL or the Kespa version of this map, actually has a supply depot, a neutral one placed, to help wall that off because it's such a wide ramp. But that's just one of the increased risks of this map, at least for PvZ. So we could see HyuN be aggressive, but he really hasn't been. He hasn't done anything aggressive. The only aggressive build he went for was the 2-base Swarm Host Rush, but that in itself only hit at 930, so not really that early. We're going to have 2 Zerglings made by HyuN, and a Nexus and a Forge go down for WhiteRa. So the Nexus first build once again, and HyuN will scout this with his Overlord very quickly. Say, okay, well, your Forge is just starting. Well, clearly you just waited for a Nexus before, and we see the Gateway as well. So WhiteRa's going to move into his tech path normally, and I feel like this map is definitely not a bad one for airplay. There's a lot of open space behind the main base, as well as the natural expansion. You have some open areas here, and this whole space allows for a lot of areas to run by. This, of course, makes it good for Mutalisks as well, going into WhiteRa's base. So we're going to have to see how these players handle this map. As I said, it's one of the newer ones. Cloud Kingdom, the map that we just played on, is one that a lot of players are familiar with. There's nothing unusual about this, but HyuN's going to get 2 Zerglings into WhiteRa's main before the cannon finishes, so this could be a bit of a nuisance. Probes can kill these, but I wouldn't be surprised if he picked off a probe or 2 with these Zerglings. He steps forward, the probes pulled, and you know, having probes pulled is definitely going to slow down WhiteRa a bit. You lose your mineral income, you can't place your building at the quite right time, and these things kind of compound on themselves, and the next thing you know, your robotics facility is 30 seconds late, and that's really, really significant in this matchup. A lot of probes being pulled. We actually see he forces WhiteRa to miss micro. 3, 4 probes are actually following one other probe. This is what these Zerglings do. They really get in your head and mess with you. WhiteRa needs to fix this. This is actually going to be kind of big. Refocuses, fixes his workers, but these Zerglings are still being a bit of a pain. He hasn't lost any probes yet, and the Zealot is there to shut that down, but in the meantime, HyuN's just going to take his third base, continue to drone up. He doesn't need to take gas. He's saturated at the main base. He's building enough drones right now to become saturated at his natural expansion very soon, and then I wouldn't be surprised if he just saturates the third before he does anything else because of the damage that he's been able to do here to WhiteRa. So I have to say, a nice little run by HyuN. Overlords are moving out. He's going to be able to check the 4th area as well as the 3rd area. And the Zerglings at the towers. So I'm curious when we're going to see the towers removed, or if we will see the towers removed on the Heart of the Swarm version of this map. If you guys don't know, the GSL version, as well as the ladder version on Wings of Liberty, do not have the towers anymore. So perhaps this was something that was like, well, okay, well, in Heart of the Swarm, it's not as big of a deal. We'll keep the towers. It's not, I don't think it's a huge issue. I like the lack of towers, really promotes proper scouting. But the Zergling comes in for HyuN. Did he see the Stargate is the question. No. So WhiteRa is going to go for this Stargate opener once again. And I'm not really surprised. as I said, this is a good opener no matter what you're doing. Any style of Protoss player, it's never really bad to open Stargate. The only thing it's weak against are really fast Hydralisk timings, but it's not as much of a threat because HyuN goes for the fast third base, so he knows he's not going to be punished by that. You wouldn't open Stargate against a 2-base Zerg, is basically what I'm saying. Third base, going to go down for WhiteRa, and WhiteRa can take this as his third because he wants to block this off. He has a lot of high DPS units, he plays Protoss, he'll be able to kill these rocks in a pretty reasonable amount of time. And HyuN, well, he's got this base saturated, and this is just going to be an easier fourth for him to take, of course. He doesn't want to have to make a bunch of Zerglings to kill the rocks. He doesn't have to make units that can deal with that, and he's going to run these Lings over towards the third of WhiteRa. This could be in danger if he gets in there. These rocks were not destroyed yet. WhiteRa got them down to about half health, but HyuN could actually come in here, force a cancel, and then kill the rocks and prevent WhiteRa from taking his third base. So this is pretty nice. Although I love this. The Oracle comes over, poking away at these Zerglings at the same time. 2 Zealots and the Stalker with the Mothership Core and the natural. Kill a Queen. I'm going to kill these Zerglings as well. And this Oracle mops up all those Zerglings. So nice defense by WhiteRa, but his units are going to get caught here. Are we going to see a recall to save that Mothership? No, he's just going to try to fly away. He's going to check for a fourth base from HyuN. Nice decision making from WhiteRa. Loses a couple units, but he gets a Queen, and that slows down the production. Slows down the injects. This Queen's going to take a little bit over there. He does have additional Queens prepared, but he moved a Queen up now to inject this hatchery and to defend, but now there's no Queen here. So that's kind of the what you can do when you force your opponent to lose Queens like that. And there's a bunch of Zerglings here, but now we have cannons building behind a wall. These Oracles should be able to slow this down. Now they have a limited amount of attack. They can only attack as long as they have energy, and now that they're both pretty much out of it, they can't do too much, but they bought enough time for the cannons to finish. Here we have HyuN going for his classic Hydralisk Den once again. I have to say the complete lack of roaches kind of been working for him simply because of the Viper. As long as he gets his Hydralisk Viper composition out, he's been able to deal with everything WhiteRa's thrown at him in both game number 2 and our last game that we just played, number 5. So it's all going to come down to control from HyuN, and as you know, he's a Korean Protoss player. He has some really great micro. As you can see, we have some silly numbers up here on the APM tab from our Zerg. So these Oracles are going to come in and actually try to snipe this Queen, but the Hydralisk spawn just in time to save the day. That Queen has 12 hit points, another second or two, and that was dead. He was fried, but these Hydralisks, man, they're on the field now, and WhiteRa sees them. Has he gotten a Robotics Bay? No. So this is going to leave him a little bit vulnerable. He won't have AoE damage to deal with these units coming after him. He's getting out some Immortals now to try to hold a fast Hydralisk push. The Hydralisk speed upgrade is going to complete within the next 20 seconds, so this is looking like a pretty strong timing for HyuN to do some micro, try to do some damage. The Hydralisks actually outrange the wall, I'm pretty sure. They don't have the range upgrade, so this cannon will be able to poke at a couple of them. But the rocks are gone, so WhiteRa's main army can move into the natural, which is mostly just a Zealot and some stars and some Immortals. So he doesn't have too big of an actual force, and these gateways look like they're going to be forfeit. Overseer coming across the map for HyuN. Wants to be able to scout a little bit, get that high ground vision just in case there's something weird, and possibly just kill this the Observer, because WhiteRa, of course, has great vision of his army. And then we're going to see these this rock tower. It's gonna crumble, blocking off this third base from the outside. Now it creates basically destructible rocks that have to be cleared before HyuN can move in. So it buys WhiteRa a bit of time if HyuN wanted to push in. WhiteRa's going to get his Twilight Council now. He's going to build some Void Rays. He's getting another Stargate. So he's kind of playing into HyuN's hands, though. HyuN wants to go for the mass Hydralisk play. He wants to go for this Hydralisk Viper and deal a ton of damage just off of the Lair Tech units and use the Hive Tech units to support them. It's a lot different than in Wings of Liberty. In Wings of Liberty, we saw the Lair Tech units, such as the Infestor, being used to support Hive units, namely the Broodlord or sometimes the Ultralisk, and not so much against Protoss, though. And this is a really interesting reversal of roles. We now have, you get Lair for your army now, but you get the Hive so that you get the finishing touch, that the I'm not even sure that silver polish on the boots of the Hydralisk army. So Phoenix moving in, he's going to scout this bottom left base for HyuN, and we have Hydralisk moving in to come rescue this, but not sure they're actually going to get there in time. Oh wow, there's the Phoenix actually didn't manage to get that kill on that drone, so he's going to pull back now. We'll see a Spore too. There's just a little bit of a nuisance for HyuN. It's not a huge deal, but it's, you know, it's there. He's forcing the APM to be tasked, and that's kind of what we've been seeing a lot in this game. A lot of I mentioned, a lot of little slight missteps caused Saturation looking a little bit dry now, about to run out at HyuN's base. He still has his 8 mineral patches, so 16 drones, been working hard all game. And these Phoenix are moving forward, but these Hydralisks are going to try to catch him. Will not be able to. We do have that range upgrade complete for the Hydralisks now, so they will be able to do a little bit more kiting, have a little bit more staying and fighting power. This Overseer, he should have seen that Observer. He should kill that. We have a bunch of Vipers here. They've all consumed their heart's content off of these evolution chambers. They have a good amount of energy. They can use that Abduct and Blinding Cloud. And here we have HyuN bringing the Spore Crawlers again. I love this place so much. This blows my mind. He unburrows the Spore Crawlers. He can actually regenerate the energy on his Vipers from afar, and that is such a cool thing to be able to do. Then bring them with your army. It gives you all that free energy, and now actually WhiteRa's army is kind of cornered. If HyuN sets himself up outside of this area, WhiteRa would have to use his recall ability to get out of here. HyuN looks like he wants to just push in. I think a recall is the best idea, but he gets, oh my goodness, abducted the mothership core. Oh wow, that was the worst possible thing that could have happened. He's going to abduct 2 of these Templar. They're going to get killed. And there's still a couple of these Vipers with full energy that can use Blinding Cloud and abduct. There are 3 High Templar now. 2 were just warped in. He needs to feedback the Vipers, but now there are too many Vipers to feedback. He's going to try to use more abducts. Pulls out a Void Ray. 2 Void Rays. The Hydralisks rip 1 to pieces. Grabs a Colossus. You maybe use another abduct. I would love to see a double abduct and just like pull him twice. This is getting very intense, but his army is stuck. Losing the mothership core might have lost him the game. The Colossi being pulled up the ramp. The Hydralisks focusing them down, and 1 Colossus does fall. Needs to be a little more careful. Pulls up another Colossus. That will also die. Man, look at those physics. That thing just falls on the ground like a giraffe. And now, this is why he brought the Spore Crawlers. He can heal off of them, and he even has the Overlords to just plant the spores here as well. Such great thought process. You know, HyuN, he is not missing a beat with the build that he is using here. This is ridiculous. I feel like I'm watching some sort of circus, and it's not even in a jungle anymore. This guy, this poor guy's trying to go to sleep, and his neighbor's like poking at him or something. I don't even know, but this is insane. He's going to try to get some more feedbacks off, but he pulls, he goinks that High Templar back towards him, and now more abducts going down, bringing them closer. And the other thing is, even if the High Templar use their feedbacks, if they get away, they can, of course, become Archons. So killing anything for free here is really nice. WhiteRa's army, it can't do anything. It's just stuck. He's getting another Mothership Core now. He needs to get a Mothership Core, save up energy, pull back into his main, and try to build up a force that he can use to break out of this. But he's contained in his own fourth. And more ducks pulling these units out. Manages to grab another Void Ray. The Colossus gets pulled, but it does get away. Pulls out a High Templar and an Immortal. This is ridiculous. This is like the most awkward siege ever. He's just slowly picking him apart. I feel like, yeah, maybe it's closer to the rodeo scenario where it's just like the cowboy's like throwing his rope out, just grabs him. He's like, get back over here. Except it's, you know, a 10,000-ton Colossus that stands taller than any building you can make in the game. And he's just pulling him. It's kind of comical, in all honesty. But more Zealots being warped in. I feel like maybe he should try to get some sort of surround on his forces. But there's like the Field of Dreams here with all these Spore Crawlers. And it looks like WhiteRa's going to try to break out of Ducks, pulling his units forward. And the thing is, pulling them into the Spore Crawlers as well. They're being able to attack, not just serve as energy increasers. The Phoenix getting caught. But it looks like the Zealot Archon force will be able to punch through all of these Hydralisks. And WhiteRa is going to break the contain and still have a pretty moderate supply lead over his Zerg opponent. But now, 10 Ultralisks in the Remax for HyuN. This is going to be a very scary follow-up to his previous pressure. He's been on 5 bases for quite a while now. WhiteRa just now going to be able to send some probes over to his 4th. But was HyuN's a little bit of a siege play? Was his contain enough? I'm not sure. We're going to have to see just how effective these Vipers can be. I feel like there's a point where the diminishing returns really hurts Vipers, and I'm not sure that he needs 11 of them. He's pulling the units back, but he doesn't actually have too much to kill them with. He pulls the Void Rays forward, but the Void Rays don't even die. At this point, he's almost helping WhiteRa push him more quickly. The Ultralisks are out, but these Void Rays are still a serious threat. He's going to need to get some Blinding Clouds, and the Void Rays actually deal bonus damage versus Armored, so that includes the Vipers. He needs to be a little bit careful, and ooh, he manages to pull that Void Ray over. I love there's like a little trail of spit from it, but he needs to get in here and just kill all of this right now, because this is going to slowly become a bigger and bigger threat for HyuN. Especially since WhiteRa is now on even bases. Keep that in mind. The Protoss is on even bases with the Zerg. Generally favors the Protoss players. So HyuN, ooh, loses one of those Vipers. The feedbacks are so strong. Vipers have very, very low health, and their energy allows them, you know, they get feedback so hard. Ouch, another one, another feedback. This is just getting really, really bad. He's going to pull that Colossus. Gets blocked by the Doodad on the map, though. Now he pulls this one over into the Ultralisk and the Hydralisk, so another nice free kill for HyuN, but some Zealots on the top side, shut down by Ultralisk. And we have some Zealots in the third base, excuse me, the fourth base of HyuN. Managed to shut down one of the gas geysers from being mined. HyuN's going to want to fix that. And HyuN's going to need to rebuild his bases. He's now queued up a hatchery for his rebuild his fifth base. He should try to get a sixth base as well, I think, to try to pull himself ahead. But he looks like he may be just trying to win the game with a big fight here. Ultralisks are good against charge lots, but are they going to be good enough? We're about to find out, guys. He's moving in now. WhiteRa is looking for a fight. HyuN has so many Hydralisks, though. This army looks scary. Blinding Clouds, Abducts, bringing everything forward. The units can't fight under the Blinding Cloud, and HyuN is going to stomp over this force. Some Storms landing. One of them actually really gets a lot of these Hydras. They barely have any hit points left. The regeneration saves them. And now, WhiteRa's fourth base, if this goes down, is going to put HyuN in a great position now that his fifth is going again. He has this Nexus. It's beginning to fall. The Mothership Core died earlier, so all of these probes, oh man, dying horrible, painful deaths. Well, I guess they were machines. They have no soul. And there's the GG well played from WhiteRa. We're going to have, oh man, a game number 7 in this best of 9. Really well played by HyuN. Some more great abducts. And I have to say, that contain was so awesome outside the fourth base. You know, WhiteRa was just like, all right, well, let's, you know, I'm going to clear out my fourth base to make expend. And then HyuN was just like, no, man, I got a bunch of spores outside. If you want to engage into me, you're going to have to lose a lot. And he did so much damage with those abducts. This is PvZ, I think we can all agree, is much, much better than in Wings of Liberty at this point in time. With such great play like this, that looks so much, it's so much more fun to watch and cast. At least that's how I feel, so. All right, guys, we are going to be going into our next game very shortly here, so just hang tight, and we will get you there as soon as we can.